Did you watch that first debate? Well, if you didn't, you just missed what's been called a, quote, hot mess. And I'm just gonna talk about that last little bit of hot mess where the two candidates were discussing the election and how we will vote. And there were a lot of lies told. There were several things which were just taken out of context, but let's start with something easy. Let's start with the truth from President Trump.
If you have an unsolicited, they're sending millions of ballots all over the country.
So yes, that is true. Ballots are being sent everywhere because we're in an election. The US Elections Project says that 65 million mail ballots have already been sent. And let's keep in mind that even before the 2020 election, we already had 5 states which were entirely vote by mail states. One of them, Utah, is a reliably red state. Here's what Utah's head of elections told me not too long ago.
There's no real indication there's any kind of widespread voter fraud. But we're not seeing anything widespread that makes us think that vote by mail has this huge likelihood of being fraudulent.
Several times through this portion of the debate, the president claimed that the election will be fraudulent, and to that, here's what Vice President Biden said.
His own Homeland Security director, as well as the FBI director, says there is no evidence at all that mail-in ballots are a source of being manipulated and cheating. They said that.
So that is true, with one little caveat. The head of Homeland Security testified to Congress that there is no cyber fraud in the election, and the head of the FBI testified that there is no evidence of widespread fraud. So yes, that is a true statement. But from here, it gets a little more wild. So buckle up for this, because it also gets a little bit more nuanced.
They're sending millions of ballots all over the country. There's fraud. They found them in creeks. They found some with the name Trump, just happened to have the name Trump just the other day in a wastepaper basket. They're being sent all over the place.
So again, yes, there are ballots being sent all over because we're in the middle of an election and a pandemic. But what I think the president was talking about was what happened recently in Appleton, Wisconsin, where there were 3 crates of mail which were found in a ditch, not in a creek, but they were found in a ditch beside a road. But it wasn't just ballots, it was crates of mail, so there were a few ballots mixed in with the regular mail. We don't know if these ballots have been filled out or if these were still blank ballots, but the postal inspector is investigating. And that last part about ballots in the trash, the president repeats that later.
They found ballots in a wastepaper basket 3 days ago, and they all had the name military ballots. They were military. They all had the name Trump on them.
First of all, that is not okay. But to be precise, it was 9 ballots. They were found in the trash, and some of them did say Trump, not all of them. But here's what we now know happened according to the Department of Justice. Apparently in Pennsylvania, a military ballot request looks like a military ballot that is being returned. They knew about this problem in the primary, they didn't fix it, so yes, this is a problem, but apparently what happened was that it was a clerical error where someone thought that these were ballot requests and not actual ballots. Again, is that okay? Absolutely not. But to hold it up as evidence of voter fraud, that's also misleading. Here's another thing the president said, which was misleading.
They have mailmen with lots of it. Did you see what's going on? Take a look at West Virginia, mailmen selling the ballots. They're being sold.
A CBS affiliate in West Virginia has already reached out to their Secretary of State, and they're reporting that there are no claims of a mail person, of any postal worker in West Virginia selling ballots. But what the president might have been referencing was a mailman who pled guilty this year to taking 5 ballot requests for Democrats and changing those to Republican ballot requests. So the president might have been referencing that, but that was voter fraud in support of Republicans. So the bottom line is that there is no widespread evidence of voter fraud. It is always rare. It's these small numbers, and that's because we have some really hardworking elections officials all across the country who are catching this sort of thing.
And this is all about trying to dissuade people from voting because he's trying to scare people into thinking that it's not going to be legitimate. Show up and vote. You will determine the outcome of this election. Vote, vote, vote. If you're able to vote early in your state, vote early. If you're able to vote in person, vote in person.
That is the vice president echoing some advice that we shared recently on NBCLX, that the best way to ensure that your vote is counted on time is to go vote in person during early voting. But the rules are different in every state, so to help you figure that out, you can go to nbcnews.com/planyourvote or lx.com/vote.